Yes, participants testing. Are you able to hear me? Yes.
Yes, sir, we are able to hear you.
Okay. Others in the chat box. Radhika, yes. Good evening. Good evening, Ankit. Okay, I think we should be starting in a minute. Yes, Kavali. Others, is everyone able to hear? Just testing. Andika, good evening. Good evening, Vidhi. Good evening, Rakesh. Good evening, Ravi. Okay, good. So Mahant is there. Hi, Teja. Good evening. Hi, Pooja. Okay. So I think we have sufficient amount of attendees to just start off this straight away. So let me introduce you guys today to Shruti Agarwal. So we had two scintillating sessions in corporate grooming. The first day definitely was me. So I hope I did justice to that session. And second day was Kapil yesterday talking about the interviews and all sort of stuff, and how we could crack it in a better way. And there were a lot of things which were taken up on the immigration also, and we would come up with some of the immigration sessions also in the next month or so, but this month we just wanted to kind of start up or touch up on some of the basics actually. And today would be the third day of our last day of our corporate grooming workshop, and she's none other than Shruti Agarwal. She is also my sister-in-law. And first of all, thank you so much for she coming in. So she works in Abbott US. I mean, it's in US based pharma company. So she is also in Kansas. So she stays out of Kansas, Missouri in US. And apart from being a BTech, she's also a master's in engineering as well, and have been also got the scholarships in the university, and have been one of the studious among all of them. So thank you so much, Shruti, for coming up. And we'll straight away start with the email writing and communication skills, because yesterday I have seen a lot of questions on communication, like do we need to have a good English or a great English, or what is good, what is better, what is best. So this is a session which will talk about all those aspects. And especially I wanted all the students to join in, because in BEC we have a written communication, which is also of a adequate weightage of 15%. So today's session will also touch upon some of the BEC written communication skills where your drafting skills are tested. So I think that is something which Shruti could kind of take it up. And thank you so much for coming in. And we would give it so all over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shripal. So hello everyone. Good evening if you are in India, and good morning if you are in US. So basically, like, welcome to the third day of the corporate grooming workshop for Samandar. And today, basically, what we are going to talk about. Let me just. Yeah, we're going to talk about what is communication and the top two communication skills, email etiquette, and the soft skills. So before we just dive into what I want to talk to you all about today, a little bit more introduction about me. I'm not a corporate trainer. Whatever I'm going to share with you all today is going to be just from my experience of working in an IT setup. I have worked in India for 2 years in ADP, and then I have moved to US and I've worked here for over 9 years now. So there are certain things that I have learned in my corporate uh, life, and which is spanning over a decade now. So that this is all my learnings, and it's not like I'm some trained learner just like trying to put in some theory and some theoretical stuff out to you all. It's very much practical, and I use it on a day-to-day basis. While we are moving through the presentation, I will even talk about certain situations wherein I, kind of like when we go to email etiquette, I'll let you know about certain situations wherein I could have done better, or when I communicated verbally, how I could have done better. So we can talk about, I will be talking about all that as we move forward in the presentation. So first of all, what is communication? Communication, as we all know, it's just an exchange of messages. Communication is everywhere, whether it be it in your personal life or be it in your professional life. Every second of the day, we are communicating with people. So be it with your parents, be it with your family members. If you're in a professional life, you're constantly communicating with your colleagues. So there are different types of communications that we come up with, like, when we are watching a TV, that is the kind of communication that the news channel wants us to know about the news. And then we are sharing ideas, we even like uh, planning a trip, that is also a communication that we are doing with our family and friends. So everything, it's one of the core aspects of our human behavior is communication. And I don't believe that anybody, even if like anybody even in the remotest part of the world, can do without communication. It's one of the most founding blocks of us who are the social beings. So then these are the four primary pillars of communication. It is continuous. So what do we mean by continuous? It's nothing but, like I just said, constantly we are communicating, be it with family, be it with friends, be it with your co-workers. There is always some sort of communication going on. Even now, when a lot of people are working from home, we use our messaging channels, to communicate with the co-workers. We are constantly texting, SMSing, making phone calls. So this is all the communication which is continuous, and it's dynamic. So what, when we say dynamic, it's constantly changing. So what you talk about in the morning is not something what you will talk about in the evening. It's constantly changing depending on the person, depending on the situation, depending on in the environment that you are in. And it is transactional. Actually, this is like a gray area wherein a lot of people like do not understand when we say transactional, because usually communication is the way wherein, like, when I talk to a person, I communicate, I need to have patience and wait for them to communicate back and then stop, and then I need to start communicating again. So it's transactional. A person needs to start, stop, and then other person needs to start and then end his conversation. But I see day to day, even in professional life, in personal life, we constantly try to interrupt the speaker, which is really not a great way of communicating, because of which we will lead to a lot of communication issues, which I will talk to you all about in the next slide. And it is irreversible, and this especially comes true in terms of the verbal communication. So like once you say something, or let's say you made a bad remark, or you said something nasty to somebody, it's irreversible, it's just gone there. So it's very important that we are constantly careful about what we are talking to someone about. And then these are the issues that I told, like, in the transactional part of communication, when we don't let others speak, or when we are not communicating correctly, these are the issues that we end up with. Lack of clarity. If I'm communicating with you guys, but I don't tell you, like, certain aspects. So let's take a general example. You're planning a trip with your friend, and if you don't communicate properly what your requirements are, or let's say what your budget is, your friend is going to assume something else and maybe plan a trip based on a budget that he or she thinks is fine. So once, like, the better communication in that aspect is just communicate, okay, this is the budget I'm looking for, I cannot exceed it. This is the place, I cannot go to a colder place because of this health situation, or cannot go to a hot place because I don't want to go there. Putting out everything right up front is one of the very important aspects. So if you do not communicate correctly, there will be lack of clarity, which again leads to a lot of chaos. Then information overload. Like, I have seen in my corporate life, like, people constantly love spamming the emails, like, if, like, I'm a developer, okay, so there are QAs on my team, but there are certain QAs, like, or certain developers who constantly want to, like, email about everything that they do, and constantly send messages. That's kind of like, to a point you kind of pay attention to those emails, but when it gets too much, you just back off, and you lose interest in it. So that kind of comes into the disinterested people. So information overload is when you're communicating a lot which is not required. And then distracted communication. A very good example for this one is, you are in a setup, okay, I have seen this in the corporate setup also, especially in the US. So what happens is, you are in a meeting room and there is somebody who's presenting, or there's somebody who's talking about the work that needs to be done. and certain people are constantly on phone. I have done that too as well when I was new in my career. But what happens with that is my mind gets distracted because I was seeing something on the phone and not paying attention to what was being said. So I lose out on information. So that's the distracted communication. When you are talking to somebody, or even like in an audience set, when you are listening to somebody, try to put as much as focus as you can on what the speaker has to say. Otherwise you are going to lose out on some information which might actually be the most important information you wanted to seek from that setup. And then disinterested people, when the communication is not proper. So if as a speaker, if I'm distracted, I'm looking here or there, I'm doing some other thing, then I'm doing a distracted communication, in which case the people who are listening to me will get disinterested. So these are the communication issues that commonly occur when the communication is not effective. Now, the most important part, communication skills. You might have heard it like n number of times that how important communication skills are. And it's not like, just in your job, even in your day-to-day life, I can quote an example, like, once I was traveling from India to US, and I was like, at that point of time, I was a student, and I was just, I could just afford an economy class ticket. But there was a time when I saw, like, when I was at the airport, I saw certain people going and talking up to the crew members and saying that, hey, can you just upgrade us to, a business class? If you have, availability. And they said, they didn't deny. They said, okay, we will take down your name. If at all there are some free seats, we will upgrade you. So, it was kind of that thing that I observed, and I'm like, okay, great. So, next time I had the, courage to go and talk to them. And, I communicated that, hey, I would like to try out your business class. And if at all there is an availability, please, if you can upgrade me, that will be great. So, I did get an upgrade. It was from Dubai to India, but that was my first time ever sitting in a business class, and it was just like trying to communicate. I observed certain people when they were communicating, and that's what I followed. And it helped me to get an upgrade from an economy to a business class. Who doesn't want it by not paying any more money, you know? So it is one of the very important yet very neglected concepts, like, or skills that we have. So a lot of time I have seen people are really smart, really brilliant, but they are not able to reach to the point they can, just because their communication skills are not up to the mark. So this is one of the key skills that is required for succeeding, even personally and professionally. And it's very like common knowledge that the top two communication skills that we use are like the verbal skills and the written skills. Written skills, like a lot of time these days, a lot of written communication is happening through text and through WhatsApp messages, but the major chunk of it is through emails even to date. And the verbal skills are the skills, like I'm talking to you, these are my verbal skills, like, talking to somebody maybe directly over the phone. These are your verbal skills. So we will dive deep into these two skills and see how we can improve on them. So first we will dive into the email skills, and the first one is the email communication. So as we all know, emailing these days, like, when it started, like at least from the time I used it in 2000s, early 2000s, it was one of the best inventions, or the technological advancements done, because something which was previously, you would write a letter, post it, it would take so much time for it to reach the intended audience, but emails made it really easy. And in a day-to-day life of a professional, email is one of the most powerful channels to communicate, because it not only provides documentation, when you want to refer back to certain conversation that you had with your superiors or your peers, your colleagues, you can always refer back. There is always that uh, documentation available for your reference. So, you don't miss out on details. So it's one of the most important and widely used channels in the professional's life. And but what I see is, like, when people write emails, they don't follow certain standards. A very basic thing is people would either miss the subject line, people would miss, like, appropriately closing on the email, not addressing the people whom they have to address. So this kind of, when I read emails from my colleagues, and if it's not properly addressed, or if things are not properly communicated, it is a source of confusion. So in that case, this concept of email etiquette comes up, which is a very important concept, but yet very neglected one. So we will dive deep into what is email etiquette, why is it needed, what are the do's, what are the don'ts, and how a basic structure of an email should be, and what is the process that we can use to make sure our email communication is effective. So what is email etiquette? It is a code of conduct that needs to be followed while writing or responding to emails. So it's nothing but there are certain rules, and rules not set hard in stone. These are very fluid rules, but really good rules to be followed when you want your email communication to be effective. So why is it needed? So according to the Business Insider magazine, they said an average employee spends about quarter of their time writing or reading emails during each workday. So you can imagine that's really a big chunk of your time to write or read emails. When you communicate effectively, it reduces scope of confusion. If what you think is what you put on if you put the pen on paper, then that reduces the scope of confusion, increased productivity. If your email communication is effective, there is no back and forth of, like trying to explain things again and again. So increased productivity. You can write your email and you can be done with it. And it is really a very crucial part of succeeding in your college or in your job. So when you are in your college, like I know, like when I applied for universities to, like when I was in India and applied for my for master's program, and I had to communicate with the universities, I would always make sure, I would follow a certain format. And at that point of time, it was really a very strict formal format that I followed. But I have seen over the years, it has evolved and it has become really like not it's not having like strict boundaries to it, the emails that you send, but there are certain things that a receiver kind of expects from the email they receive. And when you write great emails, it really makes great communication. And I have a story for this to tell, which I'll tell later in my presentation, and you guys can probably relate to it. And then when you write great email or effective emails, you will get a response back. So this is really important. Like when you are job hunting, okay, and you applied to some jobs, or you went and you gave an interview and you don't hear back from the company for a certain period of time, then your email skills become really crucial to make sure that the recruiter responds back to your queries. So we will talk about that as well. So first of all, what are the do's? Keep your emotions away. A lot of times, we human beings are full of emotions, but professional space is the space wherein there is no scope of emotions. I mean, I'm not saying that you have to be like, really like rude or, be like ruthless. No, not that part. But when you are communicating, there is no scope of getting swayed by your emotions. And by that, what I mean is, let's say somebody has asked you a question, or let's say your manager sent you an email like, hey, you are late and I have been observing you are late. So you can't get emotional about it, saying, hey, how can you talk to me like this? I have been a great worker, and this is not the way. I'm really sad, like, or I'm really upset that you questioned me about like why I'm late or why I'm not doing certain things. So no, you cannot talk like that. Emotions have no place when you're writing emails. So we need to make sure our emails are void of any emotions. Use a positive language. Even sometimes when you disagree, it's necessary to be in that professional boundary, and make sure like whenever you talk to somebody, it's positive. Positivity attracts more attention than negativity. So always make sure like when you are communicating, your responses or your emails are using a positive language, and respond within a time frame. So this has happened to me a lot of times. Certain recruiters would reach out to me, because like through LinkedIn, and I would be like, okay, I will respond to them like a few days later. And even though I would love the job, I would be like, oh, this looks like a great opportunity. What happens is when you take long time to respond, people lose interest. So a lot of times when I then if today they sent an email and if I would respond later than Monday or Tuesday, the recruiter would never come back to me, because it kind of shows that you're disinterested. So always make sure you respond within a time frame. And for me, as long as you can respond right away, unless it is an email wherein you have to think or wherein you have to do a research, always let the person know that, hey, I'm looking into this thing. I'll respond to you once I have my answers. Always let them know. Otherwise, if somebody sends you an email expecting a reply, and if you don't respond, they are just going to think either you're not interested or you might have not received the email. A lot of confusion again. So always try to make sure you respond within the time frame. And we have the next one is no abbreviations or text language. So this I can't lay enough emphasis on. I do this a lot of times and I constantly find myself apologizing. Sorry, because we text a lot, we use WhatsApp a lot, the thing like coming becomes CMG and can't become CNT. So certain stuff, we are so used to the SMS texting language that we kind of, it's natural that when we write emails, it kind of gets into that territory. So we need to always be vigilant that we do not use abbreviations or text language, because so a lot of times if it's like the same age group, maybe they will even understand and it might not even strike to them that okay, she used a text or language or an abbreviation. But sometimes when you are talking to some older people who may not be using those other text language or the SMS language as much as we do, so it kind of creates confusion and kind of doesn't look great on you when you're talking that way. Use simple fonts. There is no need to highlight stuff. I mean, certain things you can definitely bold them when that is one of your main uh, things in the email that you want to communicate or you want the addressee to pay attention to. But there's no need to use like blue fonts and a lot of time italicized fonts. There's no need. Simple fonts will do the job. Be precise and crisp. I learned this the hard way. Initially, I was the one who would write like a whole story for every small thing. Kind of what happens when you write really lengthy emails, people lose interest. These days, the interest, holding somebody's interest is not easy. So, whatever we have to communicate, you have to make sure you draft it in a way it is precise and crisp. Lengthier emails do not mean you know a lot about some subject matter, does not mean you know how to communicate better. It is just going to have a negative impact because people have no time. Everybody is busy. Let's say if you're writing a lengthy email to a recruiter, just imagine for a second. The recruiter has thousands of resumes they go through each and every day, thousands of applicants asking them about an update. So lengthy emails is not going to get you anywhere. It's just going to make them disinterested in responding back because they will have to read through so much. So, it will cause a delay in you getting a response back and the receiver losing interest in reading your email. And usage of templates. So for certain, templates, for signatures, for the email signatures, we can use a template. So you constantly don't have to forget, a lot of times people write an email, they don't even write a simple thanks and their name, you know. So you can make use of templates. They are they are available in Microsoft Outlook, even Gmail lets you do that. So you can use templates and make sure like every time you write an email, there is a template which goes with it. Just common courtesy, if somebody has taken time to respond to you, so when you say okay, you give back your suggestion or anything, and then you just thank them for responding back. So just basic courtesy, just use templates. It's available to us, and why don't we want to use it? So use templates wherever you can, and especially this is very good for the email signatures, like your signature in the end. We do that every day. It is mandatory, like by the IT companies. At least I have seen that they force you to use the signature templates. They have a particular one which the company needs you to follow. So it's kind of great because you don't have to constantly think about writing or closing your email with the closing salutation. So you can use the template to do the work for you. And this is really important. Address all the questions while responding. So sometimes when I have done that. A recruiter will send me an email and they will be like, okay, what time works for you? Can you give a few dates and times wherein I can schedule an interview with you? And also the best phone number to reach out to you. I was always in haste. I'm like, okay, quickly I would give them the time and I would forget to respond back to that question wherein they said give back your phone number, like where we can call. So I would miss that. So again, I would have to email again saying sorry, I missed out on giving this detail. So this is my phone number that you can reach out to. Excuse me. So make sure you're addressing all the questions when you are responding back to an email. Don't use capital letters. Capital letters are usually considered really rude. So when I say don't use capital letters, I mean for the whole word. Even when sometimes, we try to make the first letter capital, like this happens to me when I'm constantly doing text, messaging my colleagues and all. Sometimes I will make a certain letter capital and then I forget to, hit on the caps lock again and the whole word gets into the capital zone, and it kind of is considered rude. At least that's what I have seen here in United States. So then I have to apologize saying, oh, hey, sorry for using the caps, because when you use capital letters, it's kind of like you're mad at them, or you're trying to it kind of shows you're really angry. That's when people use capital letters. Like I said, use simple fonts, don't use fancy fonts. Simple fonts will do the trick. No SMS chat languages, as I said. No need to spam people. A lot of times people get restless when a recruiter doesn't respond back to them. They get restless and they're constantly messaging them or emailing them. This is really not a professional way to deal with things. Always give time. A good rule of thumb is make sure you give at least 2 to 3 days before following up. Never send emails back to back to a person saying, hey, respond, why are you not responding? No, that's not done. That is not going to fetch you anything, and in fact it's going to create a bad impression about you in the recruiter's mind. Okay, so make sure you are not spamming somebody's email. Don't use offensive language. Even if somebody is saying something, let's say it and it doesn't make sense to you, don't say, hey, what are you talking, doesn't make sense to me. No, don't use that language. Just say it's not what I am thinking. If somebody types in and says, you let's say your manager said, yesterday I didn't see you at work, though you were there. Okay, never happens, but just an example. So you can't say, what are you doing? Can't you see I was there? No, you should say, no, I was here. Maybe you missed seeing me. So always positive words, no offensive language. And then always make sure you never ever forward anything which is mentioned as confidential to another person without us taking permission from the person who sent that email. Never forward confidential emails to your personal IDs. Never forward it to anyone. Sorry, my throat's choking up. Sorry. Now we will talk about the simple email structure. So a simple email structure is nothing but subject, whom are you addressing to, CCing and VCCing, the greeting and salutation, how the content should be, attachments, and the closing signature. So we'll talk about the subject first. Needs to be short and crisp. Don't forget writing the subject. Why people do that, I really have no idea. We are in haste, we are in hurry, no matter what. You cannot send an email without writing a subject. How can I know what your email is about if you don't write a subject? If your email is really important and you don't write a subject, it is very sure I'm going to miss seeing that email, because it does not give out any information on what the email is about. Everybody gets a lot of email. When you are in your professional life, you will see that you will get constantly bombarded with emails. But if there are no subject, there's no subject in the email, you will not even know whether to open it and read it. If something is urgent or something needs your immediate attention, you will not know it unless you write your subject. So please keep in mind to write subject. And the subject needs to be short and crisp. Don't write a big story. Don't write lengthy lines, because lengthy lines, and again, it kind of gets cut. And, who wants to read such a lengthy subject? Like I said, people have no time. So make sure it's effective, short, and crisp. And that was the second point. It should attract attention. And a subject should always convey what the email is about. So now, like I have been constantly talking about talking to a recruiter. So now if you want a feedback, so you need to say interview feedback. That is the subject line. That's it. No need to write any big stories there. Like I said, it can never be blank. And the examples that I have is like interview feedback or request for leave. If you're talking to a manager and you want to request for leave, then you just say request for leave. To CC and BC. So when you need to use this, to is the person whom you're directly addressing to. CC is the person whom you are not directly addressing the email to, but you want them to know what you are sending to the person whom you're directly addressing to. So a lot of times when we send emails to like people in other department, we will directly address them. Their email addresses will be in the to, and our manager or their manager's email address is in CC. So usually that's how we do, because CC doesn't, because I'm not directly asking or sending some information to my manager. I'm just wanting them to know what I am sending. So that's when you use CC. And BCC is, as you all know, like nobody can see the email ID when you send that email. And it should be used sparingly, and especially in professional world, I have never used BCC at all. You in personal email, and when you're communicating with people personally, that's when you can use it. But two is when you are addressing directly to the person, and CC is when you want the person to know what you are sending the email about. But the email address in CC is not the person you're directly addressing the email to. Greeting and salutations really important. Don't directly just jump into the point when you're writing the email. Makes no sense. Always start with a hi, hello, dear. I would refrain from dear, because I usually don't like using the salutation dear, because unless like if it's somebody new to me, I don't like using dear because I don't know them. My favorite salutation is using a hello. It's even better than using a hi. It kind of makes that instant connection, and I have always used hello, and it always makes a good impression. And I like it when people say hello. So kind of sounds more polite to me. So, but these are the commonly used salutations which I have seen people use, and I would stick with a hi or hello for the most part of it. But when you are responding to certain emails, like if it gets into a lengthy chain, so first time somebody sends you an email and you respond back, that's when you will say hi or hello. But if they send you back again an email, if it's going on, it's a long conversation, that point of time you need to skip the salutations, because once there is only once you need to address the person as like hello Smith or whatever. You don't have to constantly, for every response that you give back in that email, that you don't have to say hi, hello. You can skip the salutation. Content. So the content varies on the kind of emails that you write. Don't write lengthy content. I have done that. So basically, a lot of time, I'm in a professional world. A lot of times things happen which I don't like it, or things don't go my way. So I have used my emotions in the email. I have written lengthy emails, but those got me nothing. I would be just like, if like, let's say I had some issue with a coworker and I wrote an email to my manager, he would just read it and he would never even respond. That happened. And this was when I was like, just starting up in the IT career, because I didn't know, nobody taught me that, you cannot use your emotions. You should not be like writing lengthy emails. I had no idea. So you will not really get a response back. So always try to be precise, to the point. And if it is like first time, if you're writing an email to somebody, so if you don't know that person, make sure you introduce yourself, right? Your name will be there when the email goes, but they need to know who you are. So like even in my current job, when I write to somebody who's in another group or another team who might necessarily not know me, I make sure I introduce. I say, hey, I'm Shruti and I'm from this team. So kind of gives them that background. Okay, this is the team, they know me, and she's from this group. Or kind of just a basic introduction. Doesn't have to be like 10 lines. Just, hey, I'm this person and I'm from this particular team or this particular department. So that's it. So like, if you are like a job applicant and you're writing to the recruiter for the first time, you can say, hi, I am Shruti and I am one of like the applicants for this particular job. That should do the trick. That's it. And then introduce the topic, and then talk about what you're wanting to. So if you're talking to your manager for a leave, you say, hey, I'm at that point of time, you are not going to introduce yourself because he knows who you are. You report to him. So in that situation, you are not going to introduce yourself. You will just skip that part, because like I said, introduction is when somebody is new to you. That's when you will introduce yourself. So then you introduce the topic, like, hey, I'm writing this email in regards to like the leave request that I have applied but is still pending. Can you please take a look at it? So stuff like that. Introduce the topic next. always make sure you use proper punctuations and formatting. This is a very basic rule of writing email communication, of writing emails. So a lot of like, I don't know if anybody of you have used, but there's Grammarly, which is one of the best plugins you can use. So when you're writing your email, it will itself show you like things that need to be corrected. So please make use of it. A good, properly formatted email makes a great impression. It will help you improve your written skills. It will help you improve your English. So please make sure your email is properly formatted and punctuated. So, and if at all you are expecting a response, or if you are expecting some suggestions, you have pitched in an idea and you are expecting some suggestions back from your manager, end with, please let me know, please suggest. That's it. No need of anything else. So this is basically how you need to frame your content. To a number of people, we say there is an attachment in the email and we forget, to add that attachment. So please make sure that you before sending the email, you check whether your email has the attachment or not. Closing signature. This is the very formal way that we used to do the closing signatures back in the day, almost a decade back. Now this works, or any of the templates that your company provides, you can use that. So this is the closing signature you will use when you're talking to like maybe colleges, but for jobs, application and stuff, you just use thanks and you use your name. And I have an example for you. So like we have been talking about a recruiter and a job applicant example. So as a job applicant, it's been a couple of days that you have not heard back from your recruiter. How can you draft an effective email to make sure you get a reply back? This is what we will do. In our subject, we will write follow-up after phone interview, or you can even write interview feedback, anything, nothing more than that. And then you address the recruiter and you always, and this is one point I missed saying before. At least in US, I have seen they always start the email with hope you're doing good. Just kind of a basic courtesy, a basic manners, like asking if the other person is doing good. So always you can use that, incorporate it, doesn't make any like difference, but if at all, if it makes a difference, it will be just a positive one. So, and then you just jump right into the topic, what you were wanting to ask the recruiter. So you can say, I just wanted to touch base with you to see if you have any update or feedback for me after my phone interview. I will be highly grateful if you can please let me know at your earliest. Thanks, Shruti. So this is the basic email that you will write. No writing lengthy stories, no writing any emotional things. I'm waiting, I'm restless. No, don't do that. Just a simple professional email is enough, and you will get a response back. Finally, use the draft process. So draft your email. When you draft your email, don't sometimes when we are typing the email, and if you already put the name of the person whom you're sending the email in the to box, by accident there is a chance you can hit send and only half of your email will go there. Has happened to me. So make sure when you're drafting your email, don't type in any of the addressees, like the receiver's email addresses. First draft your email, then revise and edit. So look through your content again, even if it is a simple email like we did to the recruiter, just look through, because sometimes when we are typing, a lot of typos happen. So make sure you just revise it, go over it. If there are any changes, make those changes. And before sending anything, proofread it again in totality. Make sure your attachments are there. If you said there is an attachment, make sure the subject is not blank. Make sure your greetings are there if it's the first thread to that person. Make sure the content is correct and make sure you're ending it properly. So follow the draft process. And this is the summary for the email etiquette. So it's, as I have been talking, it's really important. It's important even in personal life, and it's important in your professional success. It needs to have a structure, and you need to use the draft process before sending an email. Any questions so far?
Yeah, so one of the question is, hello ma'am, how about using greetings as salutation? Till now I have used it. Have I been wrong?
So when greetings are also fine, though I would not advise it. It becomes really informal that way. So there is like this thin line between being really formal and like being totally informal. Greetings are okay, but I would really refrain from it. The best salutation, according to me, is a hello with the name of the person whom you're addressing to. Really great salutation. Even hi kind of can sound like really, just I like it when people say hello, Shruti, and send emails to me. Those attract my attention more than a plain hi, honestly. So hello is the best salutation according to me, and hi comes second. And greetings, they are not like you can't use. To be honest, in today's day and age, there is nothing that you can't use. There is no formal rules. It's not like a college email or anything. In professional life, there are certain liberties that you can take when writing emails. But I would avoid greetings if I can.
Can we use please do the needful for replies if content is nailed?
No, I don't think I have seen that happen, but I don't think that's a great way to like, say, please do the needful. It's kind of like you are direct, like um directing or giving directions to the person. So if I feel the best way is, can you please uh, let me know if you can do it? Please do the needful is a very abrupt way of ending an email, and I would not suggest using that.
In the office which I'm working as a trainee, since it's a small firm, they capitalize words for highlighting for follow-up, but it will be taken as other way, as if they are a corporate, which they consider as if we yell by spelling out in uppercase. Kindly suggest a way to tackle them as I'm abide to highlight, despite being good communicator for the client.
So you are saying, can you once again repeat the question, Shripal? Sorry, I might have missed a part
In
of
the
it.
office which I'm working, they capitalize words for highlighting for follow-up, but it will be taken as other way, as if they are corporate, which they consider as if we yell by spelling out in uppercase. Kindly suggest a way to tackle them as I'm abide to highlight, despite being good communicator for the client.
So, yeah, like I mentioned, uppercase writing, like using words in uppercase, is really considered rude. Sometimes I know it is used to attract attention, but in a day-to-day communication, that's really considered rude. And I mean, honestly, in US, if I would use caps, people will not take it kindly. It's like, and I have to always apologize if I use caps. So another way is, you can, when you draft your email and there are certain sections that you want the receiver to pay attention to, you can mention in the bottom that I have highlighted the stuff which need immediate attention. You can put a PS note at the end after you say your thanks and you put your name. You can do that, and just you can probably just bold them, bold in the sense, not the uppercase, and just make them a little bit in a darker font so that it can attract attention. But please do not use all caps. That is another way you can use and get away with that. Any other questions?
If a receiver is so much older, like age of 45 years, then how we can greet them? Is it okay to say hello?
Yes. In professional world, there is no sir. I have seen, and this is really something I saw in India. And I remember when I first joined in ADP as a fresher, I would constantly call my manager as sir. And he said, that was the first day. And he would be like, don't call me a sir. In a professional environment, age has to do nothing. Here, I am a lot younger than a lot of my other colleagues, but I am in a higher position than the other people. So it just doesn't matter. Like, age has nothing to do in a professional environment. You can just say hello or a hi is fine. You don't have to write respected sir, respected madam. All that is a thing of past. You can just use a hi or a hello and it should do the needful.
Okay. I send the emails to my team, but they don't respond. With gentle reminders, it feels irritated if I want certain information. I want to avoid telephonic conversation. What is the best way to get the information with the first email itself?
Yeah, so with the first email, so make sure you're following all the rules that we spoke about, and in the end, you can just say that it will be great. And if if the response is stopping you from moving forward or doing your job, so you're waiting on a response for something and it's not letting you finish your job, then you can say, I will be highly grateful if you can please let me know uh, what are the next steps for it, so that I can proceed with it. Or if they are not responding, and if it's like a follow-up email that you have to send, because there are certain times people miss it, you can be just very positive and say, hey, you might have not looked into my email, can you please make sure you look into it, stuff like that. Use please all the time, use please, it will really help you. So every time when you want a response from somebody, let them know, in your email, let them know that until you get a response, you are blocked. So when you make sure they know that you are blocked because of their research or something that they need to some of the information they need to give you back, they will not be quick enough to respond. So make sure you let them know you are blocked until they respond back to you, and they will definitely respond back.
Okay, Zaki, can you just unmute some of them? I am seeing Arpita and Satish have raised hands.
Yeah, sir, sure.
Shriram as well. Guys who have doubts, they can raise hands, we can unmute them. Meanwhile, I'll just take a question. How about when we use...
Arpita?
Arpita, do you want to take it up? I think we are not able to hear her. Okay, when we use salvation. Yeah, Arpita, go ahead.
No, sir, I have no any questions. I just listening and I'm very happy to hear you.
Okay, not an issue. So Aliza have a question.
Thank you.
Not a problem. Aliza, I have a question. When we use salvation, should we use it as Mr. and Emma, Mr. and Mrs. with first name or the last name or the full name?
So usually, like what I see is, to the teachers, you can use Mrs. and you usually use the last name. That's what I have seen. And unless, like, I only use Mrs., uh, for my son's teachers. We don't use Mrs. Like in a day-to-day professional, I will never use Mrs. or Mr., even no matter who it is. And if it is a doctor, then I will say, hi, doctor, so and so. So, but if at all you have to use Mrs. or Mr., you usually use the last name.
Amanjot is asking, what is a perfect subject line if I want to apply for job as a fresher?
Okay. So you can just, so if you are a fresher and you want to apply for a job, basically you can just say, you can in the subject line say interested in job position and just put it in brackets, the job position listing ID or anything. You don't have to mention there in a fresh that you are a fresher or anything. Just interested in this, in the job opportunity, and provide the job ID number or something, whichever is on the website of the company.
Next question is pointing at the mistake of the team. What is the best way not to be rude over them and get the point being communicated over mail?
Yeah, so basically that is like always something we come up with, right? We want to communicate with the team, and we want to make our point across, but sometimes we cross that boundary and we get rude. So the best thing to do is make sure your team understands when you're writing email, understand that, certain things you can just say that, guys, I have observed, let's say if you are a manager and you are writing an email to your team and something they have done which they shouldn't have, you can say, I have observed this, and it's not really a very professional or ethical way to do things. This is what I expect out of you. So I will be really grateful if you can follow these rules, or follow the things that we have been communicated from the upper management. So you can just say that, always, I would always try to avoid being rude or using negative language in an email. There are a lot of ways, and that's like a whole different session we can have on how to be polite and how in circumstances when we lose our cool. So yeah, you can do that.
How to avoid the grammatical mistakes, like same sounding word have different spellings and meanings?
Yeah, and one common thing which I saw was like the then and the than. So a lot of people use it like, and it's not anybody's fault. I have seen people struggle with English, and it's no fault of this, because that's the kind of education we have got in those days. Now it's getting better. So I have seen the common one which comes is the then and the than. People say, I'm better than you, or it's so. The best way to avoid, I would say, is please download the plugin Grammarly. It will be on your browser. Whenever you write any email, it is going to constantly highlight stuff which is, incorrect. And you can sometimes, Google is a great resource, guys, when you are in doubt. Sometimes even I am in doubt. So when I was making this presentation for don't, I was constantly putting the apostrophe after n, and Grammarly kept saying me, no, it is after n. And I googled and I saw which is the correct way, if it is after n or if it is after uh, T, because do and don'ts, right? So I was putting it after T. So then I found it is after N that you put. So I was like, okay, great, I learned it, right? So you can use Google. There are so many resources to your disposal. Use those. Google is one of the best one. I would say, please use Grammarly, one of the best plugins ever. Please download it free of cost, and it can help you.
Ma'am, is there any appropriate time of sending emails? Example, is it appropriate to send email late at night?
Yeah. See, when you're sending an email, you're not disturbing anybody unless somebody has their notification on and something. There are no rules to sending email at any particular time or any part of the day, particular time frame. You can send emails whenever you want. There's no like restrictions on that.
When we apply for job on companies given mail ID on their website, then what should be our salvation? Hello HR is fine or something else will be more appropriate?
You see, sometimes you can write, hello HR, or you can write like, I mean, you can just say hello and you can put a comma. That's what I do usually. If I don't know if like whom I'm like addressing, because it's a generic email. So you can just say hello and put a comma. Doesn't matter.
Hello, my question is, if I don't know the time zone of the attendees in the meeting, is it okay to start good morning to all or should I start in some other way?
So I would just refrain from using that, right? Why do you want to say good morning? No need to, we don't have to say good morning. And like we saw in the presentation, one of the best ways we can do is you can just say, hope you're doing good. We don't have to use good morning, just I would always avoid terms which can, go either way. Sometimes like the great example, like you said, if I'm in US and you are saying me good morning, for me it's appropriate. But if somebody's in India, so it is not appropriate for them, right? So such things I will just avoid it. It doesn't make any difference to your email.
How can we reply when the email is having incomplete information?
Yeah, so when an email has incomplete information, please request the sender to send in more information. So you can, like, sometimes, they might have not done intentionally. People write and they, accidentally send the email, or they forget to attach the attachments. So you can just politely say that, hello, I received your email, thank you for your email, and but I see that it's not complete, or I find this information missing, can you please provide me with this information? So you can just politely ask them.
If there are trial emails going on one after the other, shall I need to use salutations for every mail or let it be like a continuous chat?
Yeah, no, at that point of time, you will not use salutations. It's only the first time you're addressing the person, that's when you will use the salutation. But if it goes on in an email chain, then you don't have to use the salutations.
Revert word, shall we use? Because revert means back and revert back means also back.
Correct.
So shall we use the word kindly revert back or kindly revert, or should we avoid revert itself?
Yeah, so you, instead of, like, you can use kindly revert, but I would just say it will be great if you can please respond back. Very simple, no need like to use, it's great you have great vocab, which is you can write, I'll be grateful to you if you can please respond back. That's it.
So respond is appropriate than revert.
Yes, I like respond.
I use kindly find the attached file below in the body of the letter and while remaining them in second line. When I use please, does it not convey the same point above?
It does. And so when you have an attachment, you can just at one particular place say, please find the document attached, or please find the, documents attached in the zip file, something of that sort. You don't have to write it at many places.
So one question comes up is, please find attach the resume for your reference, or please find the attached resume for your reference. Which is the right one?
Please find the resume attached for your reference.
Please find the resume attached for your reference. How
Yes.
about here, instead of hello, when I'm reporting to him or her, though in terms of hierarchy, since I need to respect his designation, even if age is secondary, or similar words to address?
It doesn't matter. I have written email to the CEO. Like in my last job, I had something that I wanted to convey, and I have written an email to the CEO, and it's a $10 billion company. And I have written hello. I have not said anything else. It doesn't matter, guys. Everybody in a corporate setting, no matter, I mean, yeah, obviously, and it's not just you need to respect somebody because of their designation. Everybody deserves respect, your colleagues, even your juniors, your superiors. So you need to make sure it's the same for everyone. Trust me, I've written an email to the CEO with just hello, and it absolutely went great. I got the response back as well. So you don't have to, worry about designations or anything. Everybody needs the same respect.
Kindly suggest when closing salutation, is it regards or thanks followed by name and phone number for a professional, or any similar words to replace it?
So you can say thanks. I would just say stick with thanks. It's like accepted today, like in the email communication that I see, I don't see like, regards or anything. You can use it. Nobody is stopping you, but a simple thanks would do.
Can we reply without hi, hello, direct body matter?
No, I would really avoid doing that. When you are responding, you are a professional, right? We need to be professional. Let's say somebody is not responding to you using hi, hello, or anything, and a lot of time it happens, people jump directly to the point. They don't even care to use your name or address you. So but we are professionals, we will act in a professional manner, and we will say hi. Doesn't matter, right? It's just a word we are typing in extra. So I think you should always use a salutation when it's the first time you're responding back. I have another, like some more slides for the verbal skills, and let me go over those so that,
Sure.
yeah. So we spoke about the email etiquette, and these are the verbal communication or the soft skills, which are really the most important skills for succeeding on your job. So we will talk about what are the soft skills. Sorry, oh, sorry. Sorry. And what is the importance of soft skills, what are the principles of soft skills, and what is the composition of soft skills. So soft skills is nothing but the way you communicate to the people. So written communication is a different part, which we have already touched upon. Soft skill is your verbal communication, and a lot of other things which entail soft skill is what we will see a little bit further in the presentation. But it is anything like any company hiring you basically requires at least some amount of soft skills that you need to have. And when you need a promotion or when you need to keep your job, soft skills play a major role for you in succeeding in your job. What is the importance? To handle interpersonal relationships. Even when we are working in a corporate environment, we need to make sure our relationships are great with our co-workers, our managers, or any superiors, because great relationships really take you long way. That doesn't mean you don't do your work and only relationships will carry you forward, but no, great relationships make it easier to work with people. It is really, soft skills are important to communicate effectively, and they are important because they create a very important impression on the people you're talking to. So that is the importance of the soft skill. And these are the 4 principles: listening, questioning, observing, and informing. Listening, when you are talking to somebody, don't just listen to hear, listen to understand. We need to make sure we are able to understand what the person is saying. If you don't understand, question them. So like, I might be saying something, and if you don't understand, you have all the right to question me for me to clarify. So that makes sure you're interested. When you question, when you ask, like the speaker or the person who is talking to you questions, it shows that you are interested in their conversation, and it helps you learn better, helps you understand things better. Observe, and observe how people around you are talking. Observe their body language. Sometimes I might be saying something, but my body language, this is very important when you go for interviews. A lot of times people might be really brilliant, but they are scared of facing the interviewer, so they will be slouching, and they will be sitting like this. The best way to sit in any interview is to sit on your chair with your hands on the sides and just talk like that. This is called like one of the power positions of sitting. So this automatically gives you some confidence, and when you talk to people, it shows that you're confident too. So your body language, your gestures play really an important role when you're talking, and when somebody else is talking, you need to observe that as well. And inform your like soft skills. When you communicate, it should be clear, what you're saying should be correct, it should not be elaborative. Unless somebody asks you to elaborate on something, try to be concise and complete. You cannot be just talking and blabbering with the person in front of you not understanding anything. So always be clear. Whatever you are saying should be correct. Don't give wrong facts, wrong information. Be to the point and complete your conversation. And these are the composition of soft skills. Soft skills don't just mean that I'm talking to you and okay, if she's talking great, that's the great, so she has great soft skills. No, it consists of your body language. Like I said, don't be slouching, don't be leaning here, don't be doing any of such things. Be straight. When you're in a professional setting, be a professional. Sit properly. Even in our home, we are taught, in front of elders, there's a certain way to sit. Similarly, in a professional environment, body language plays a really important role. Don't act like funny or silly, in meetings. Be professional, sit properly, don't slouch, be confident, and then your
I think I
intention.
would like to interrupt Shruti here. Actually, this is a very valid point, guys. I remember I referred one of our student, Yashwant, who passed CPA, and I referred to one of his company. And the CFO called me up and he said, "Hey, you know what? He's sitting in the sofa, right? And after 5-10 minutes, he slept." And so this is what I think the corporates kind of observe what you're doing. So I mean, I referred him and all, and see the fun. Actually, he called me back and he said, "What kind of resource you have referred? Who's here sitting on the sofa and sleeping and not working at all?" So that's how they kind of make it up with the your body language, how you are, what you're doing. So everyone is observing you. I think that's what is very important here. Sorry to interrupt, Shruti.
No, that's fine. That's great point. And when even you go for interviews there, it's really natural that we will not know all the answers. If you know, great. If you don't know, I've seen a lot of time people do like this and they do all sorts of things, to cover up for, not knowing an answer. Don't do that, guys. You can just say, sorry, I don't know what, sorry, I'm just blanked out for the moment. I can't seem to remember. Because when you do all such things, people start biting their nails, and they'll do all sorts of funny gestures. It's not required. You can just say that I don't know the answer. That's okay, perfectly fine. That's showing actually that you're honest, you know and be direct when you communicate. Don't beat around the bush. And when you communicate, do it with a sincere intention. Do be sincere in your communication. So now if I'm taking this session for you guys, and if I just I'm taking it for the heck of it, it just doesn't serve the purpose. So don't. When you are talking to somebody, be attentive. Make sure you're making eye contact. Eye contact is such an important thing that people don't really understand. Like, when you are looking away, and I have seen a lot of time guys do this when they talk to girls. And honestly, I'm not saying against a guy like or anything, but I have personally seen this when I used to work in India. And even here, there are certain people who don't want to look at girls at all when they're talking, or it is really bad. Guys, don't do that. Anybody and everybody is an equal. So when you're talking to a girl or a guy, you need to look at them, right? If you're addressing, like, I used to have a person in my team. That person would never look at any of the girls in the team and would only look at the guys and talk. Why? What is such an issue? Always look at the person whom you're talking to. And when you try to, move your eye away from the person whom you're talking to, it is really, really insulting for the person whom you're talking to. Plus, it does not give a good impression about you, because it shows that you're not a confident person. So please make sure when you're talking to somebody, look into their eye. And when you have the courage to look into somebody's eyes, it already conveys a message that you're a very sincere person. So please look into the eye when you talk to the person. And another trick, I've learned over the years, when you're talking to somebody, please use their name in your conversations. It really helps to build that bond. So when I'm talking to my colleagues, I constantly try to use their names, you know. So if like my colleague is Kavita, I'll say, hey Kavita, can you do this? Kavita, I saw this. I use their name a lot. It kind of helps to build that bond. I learned about this some time back, and I don't know from where I got this, but it really, really helps. Use your name in your conversations. Name of the person you're talking to in your conversation. Hey, if you're talking to me, you can say, hey Shruti, are you understanding? Doesn't hurt, right? So it kind of helps build that rapport. Use the name of the person and be energetic. Don't be lethargic. I know there are times when we don't feel great. That is fine. Sometimes you don't feel good, then don't have those conversations wherein you're required to be energetic. If I come to this presentation and I'm tired and I'm not you know uh, up to the mark, like in terms of my energy, nobody is going to be interested. If you yourself are not interested in what you're talking to about, nobody else is going to care. So please make sure your energy is to the point. You're making the eye contact, really, really important. Use the name of the person. Dress appropriately, guys. We have this tendency, we don't care about how we dress. Lot of times I have seen people say, oh, he's very intelligent, she's very intelligent, so they don't care about how they dress up. No, it is really important about like how you dress up. No matter how smart, no matter how brilliant you are, if you don't dress up good, that is before even, like, if I'm coming to this presentation and if all my hair is unkempt, if I'm really wearing all, like, unironed clothes. It is right now a webinar, so you can't see me, but if I was just standing and talking, and that is the first impression I'm making on you. So if I'm myself not appearing pleasant, I'm not saying, put on a lot of makeup or do certain things, to look great like a celebrity. No, guys, but a pleasant looking person is always more attractive. People want to look at you. People, if you are very badly dressed, skimpily dressed, or, very untidy, your nails are grown and untidy, they are untidy, your hair is like, badly kept, that is not going to make a good impression. Because even before I talk, how are you judging me? Everybody is constantly forming opinions about you, making judgments. So your dressing plays a really crucial role in how people are going to perceive you. So please make sure you really dress appropriately for the occasion. If you're going for interview, dress appropriately. If you're going to work as well, even though it is day to day, you're meeting the same people, doesn't mean it you can take the liberty of not taking care of how you look. That doesn't matter. When you look great, you feel great as well. It automatically gives you confidence to do better. So please take care of your dressing also. And another thing, always have a tactful conversation. So what does it mean? Think before you speak. Don't just blurt out things. It's not going to fetch you anything. When you think before you talk, always the effect is going to be better. You are going to make less mistakes. You're not going to utter things which are not to be said. So think before you speak. And when you are speaking something and you say some word, just like which is not intended for that occasion, just apologize immediately. Things happen, people make mistakes. When you apologize, people don't, try to hang on to that word which you might have, which you used, which might be wrong, so apologize. And when you're talking to somebody, don't try to compete. Like, in meetings, I see that all the time. When somebody is saying something, other person is like jumping in. They want to be the the star performer. They will keep on talking, and don't let other people get a chance. Don't do that, guys. Let everybody get a chance. Some people have an extra, they are extroverts. They have that outgoing personality and they can talk. But that doesn't mean we need to suppress the people who are introverts. You will be a great team player when you make sure everybody on your team steps up. So give a chance to others to also talk. It's not a competition. communication is communicating your information. It's not a competition. It's not a debate. Unless you're going for a debate competition, then the thing is different. But here, in your day-to-day life, in your professional life, it's not a competition. And don't talk a lot, you know, make sure, like always I say, be precise and crisp in your email communication, in your verbal communication. Nobody has time, guys. So please make sure you're timing what you talk. And when you are talking, focus on what you're talking and concentrate on what you're talking. If I'm talking to you and if I'm concentrating on how the clock is looking or how my house is looking, doesn't make sense, right? I have to be completely into the conversation to make an impact. So that's what you need to do, focus and concentrate. And when people give feedback, listen to it, you know, understand it when people are giving feedback. So, and don't take it negatively. Like sometimes some people may say, okay, you need to improve on certain thing. Don't ever take it negatively. Listen for feedback and take it as a constructive feedback and improve on that. And do's and don'ts. Be direct in your conversation. Always, it takes less effort to be good than to be bad. So be courteous, be calm, don't be fidgety, don't be nervous. You know, when I was giving this presentation, a little bit of nervousness does creep in, right? But I try to be calm. I'm like, I know my stuff, like, you know, stuff, I know what to talk, so why do I need to be nervous? It happens with anyone and everyone, no matter how many times they have talked in front of people, you know, what they are trying to communicate. When you're trying to talk to your superiors, there's no need to be nervous. They are superiors. They are really at that post because they have that many years of experience. If you're just starting out, they know that you're just starting out. So it's okay. Be calm, be courteous, be polite. Don't ever be rude. Rude people are never going to make great impression. They will only create fear. So if you are a manager and you are being rude to your staff, it's only going to instill fear. You will not get the respect that you actually should. Being polite is the best way to be in a conversation. Unless asked, don't give advices. Nobody needs to know like stuff, you know, like sometimes, you know, this is in regards with your friend also. If your friend and you are talking and they are saying you something which they might be feeling bad about, you just don't jump in to be that, you know, big advisor and try to give advice. Even in professional life, give an advice when asked for. Don't brag about yourself. When we are communicating, never ever brag. Never say, I am this, I am that, you know, I did this, I did that. Never. Doesn't make a good impression. And always, so let's say I'm telling you, like, you know, write the email this way, so that worked for me. But if it is not working for you, I need to make sure, I need to be aware of the fact that what works for me will not work for you. So I cannot be enforcing, like, you know, do this, don't do this. That's from my learning. But maybe something new is different is working for you, great, then that works for you. So always be accommodating to others situations also. And never ever make personal attacks, and especially in a professional setting, it's never accepted. You know, we think it's great to be direct, I'm straightforward. Yes, you need to be straightforward, but straightforward does not mean you can take the liberty to be rude. You can make personal attacks on anybody, because if you kind of get mad at a particular person in your team and you make rude remarks, you know how, like, whether you might be right as well, but everybody else on the team will look down upon you and they will fear from talking to you because they think that you can be rude. So, and talk crisp, like the last point, like, you know, talk precisely, you know, unless somebody says you know, can you explain, talk to the point. And don't expect everybody to agree on what you say, because there will be disagreements. We are human, everybody has a different perception. So these are the certain do's and don'ts of the communications, like your verbal skills. In the end, guys, confidence matters. Everybody has flaws, everybody has something they need to work upon. Even like the biggest CEO, everybody is having something that they can work upon and improve. So be confident. If you know, if you're going to an interview and let's say there might be like 10 topics which you should have prepared, but you prepared 8. So don't worry about those 2 topics which you didn't prepare about. Be confident about the 8. So if the questions come about those 2 topics which you don't know, you can say, I don't know. But if you confidently answer the ones which you know, then it can really help you get the job. So really be confident. And the last point here is the biggest obstacle between where we are today and where we want to be tomorrow is we ourselves. Nobody can take away your confidence if you believe in yourself. We are the only obstacle which does not let ourselves move forward. If you are always doubting yourself, doubting your abilities, you are your only uh, uh, what do I say, the only person who's pulling yourself back. So have confidence, even if your skills are not up to the mark as the other people have. You can try and improve, but be confident. It really makes a lot of difference. I have moved from Java, like I was a Java programmer, and I moved to the C#.NET world last year. Even like it's a different technology. When I went for the job, the manager asked me the first question: you were a Java developer, how can you be the how is the transition going to be, for you, because now it will be all C#.NET. I was just confident, and I said, I trust my abilities. I'm a quick learner. I know I can. When I learned Java, it was new to me, but I learned it quickly. Similarly, I'm going to learn C# quickly. So, and that gave him the confidence that I have confidence on myself that I can learn, and I got the job. So that's what confidence does. It really have confidence on yourself, and everything will fall into place. So now, any questions?
Yeah, I think thank you so much, Shruti. I think we have some questions. Before I take up the questions, as she have pointed out, guys, so just want to share my part, because when I applied for my US visa, right, so B1, B2 visa interview, when I went, so I was talking to her and she said, Sripal, you know what, you will need to go in blazer. So I was like, are you kidding me? I'll go in a blazer or what? Like everyone is going in a formal. And then actually I went in blazer when I was going for that interview, and everyone in that embassy, when I reached the embassy, everyone was seeing me, because no one was dressed up in blazer there except me. So when I went there, and the question were like as if they were asking me, like as if I'm some director or some vice president of some company. So it really helps in that way. I mean, I didn't get that kind of torture which other candidates kind of get, where they keep asking questions, why do you want to apply for visa or anything like that. So I didn't get such questions, because the dressing really kind of offset the impact, right? So this is one of the most important point when we are talking about the dressing sense and all. Anyways, coming back to the questions, I attended some interview, but while I speak, sometime I don't get the words to express and I get stuck. How can I improve to be fluent?
Yeah, so this comes with practice. So you need to practice. So, even like, I'm living in US for like now 10 years now, 11 years actually, sorry. So, when I came here, I got really nervous. And, when I would talk, because I was constantly thinking, my slang is different, like the way we talk in India is different than the way they talk. So I would constantly be fishing around for words. But what I saw is, as you practice, it gets better. So whenever you can, just practice in your home or practice anywhere you can, and conversing in English, because in India, the issue is like we are really, when we are at home, we mostly talk in our mother tongue and our native language, and then we go to the office and we talk in English. But you can try to talk in English, because that is something like you will be using in your professional life constantly. Just practicing while at home, or even talk to your siblings, and not just for the heck of it. Trying to converse in a particular language more and more will help you get past that. So just practice.
Uh, I attended some Okay, just a second. I think I lost the questions. In mail, we should use hello, whether it's our manager or CEO, instead of hello, sir. But if we are talking directly to them, then we call them sir or madam.
You call them by their name. So in a professional world, nobody is a sir, nobody is a madam, nothing. Like I told you, even the CEO, you can address him by the name. And that's what I have seen throughout. when talking to the CEO, like I called him by his name and I went to his office to talk to him. You don't have to use sir or madam at all. You can address them directly by their name. Nobody's going to take an offense to it.
Whenever I am in interview, I always stammer. But normally, is it okay? Hope to avoid stammer.
Yeah, I mean, if stammering is your genuine problem, then maybe you can just communicate to the interviewer even before you start that, I have this issue, and people are very accommodating. So let them know before. Or if it is just because you're stammering out of nervousness, then that will go away. As I said, if you keep practicing, do a lot of mock interviews, stand in front of the mirror and talk really helps. You can take your phone, record when you talk, and observe what you're doing wrong. So that will help you get better.
What would be a perfect dressing for an interview?
So a perfect dressing with like for an interview, even like for a girl or a guy, is like wear your blazers. That's the best you can do. Lot of companies these days, like Amazon or Facebook or Google, they now say they don't care for the dress that you wear. But every company has a different standard. It is a blazer never is out. It might look too much like too formal, but at least if a company is really strict in their dressing sense, it will work. So I would always say, please make sure you wear your pant, your shirt or your top, and your blazer. That's it.
Can I know the soft skills necessary which are required for a fresher?
Yeah, the soft skills necessary are, you need to be able to talk in English, and please try to use like at least, we don't have with this English talking skills, like you don't have to use like really high, like vocab words. You can use basic words, and learn, like English speaking skills are really important, because and your dressing skills are really important, because you're going to go to interviews, and that is going to make an impression. So your English skills, your dressing skills, and your email communication skills are the top three for me.
Okay. My office team sees still today as if I am adamant and arrogant since I used to call names in previous corporate. Well, kindly suggest me to change their mindset. Despite now, I started calling them sir and madam. Even the colleague is 7 years younger to me.
No, so that's what I said. You it is not arrogant when you call people by names. It's just actually a rule of thumb in any corporate world that you need to use names. I have seen this culture in India a lot when I was working, when because we are obliged, we think, oh, he's a senior, we need to call them by name, call them as sir or madam. But that's not the reality. The reality is, in a corporate world, everybody is equal. The designations are there because they have more responsibilities, and like I said, everybody is equal there. Like you cannot be saying that if somebody is my junior, I will call them by their name, but if a person is senior, I will call them sir. No, everybody deserves the same respect, so please call everybody by their name.
So when we enter the interview room, first point, one interviewer asks to sit. Is it okay to thank that person and smile at others, or should I thank everyone? Second, if they didn't ask me to sit, is it okay to ask, can I sit? I have experienced it, ma'am. Third, is it okay to ask them to repeat the question if it didn't get it when it was asked the first time?
Yes, all three, yes. So if they ask you to sit, and you can say thank you and you can sit, and you don't have to. So if there are like 4 to 5 interviewers in the room, if one of them says, please have a seat, you can say thank you and you can sit. If they don't ask you, you can say, can I have a seat? And they will probably say yes. So that is also fine. And what was the third question? Yeah, if you didn't understand a question and you ask them to repeat, it's perfectly fine. That's not an issue at all.
If my manager insults me, looping everyone from my team, if I don't reply, it looks my mistake. And if I reply, manager may feel offended. How to respond to such emails?
So sometimes, people do that. People try to act nasty. And if your manager responds with a lot of people in a chain, kind of, which in the language which is insulting to you, you can respond back to the chain saying, sorry, I think if at all there is a miscommunication, you can say, sorry, I think there's a miscommunication. I will come to you and talk to you directly. Just say that and end it there. You don't have to give any more explanation. Or you can say, hey, I will you can say, like, I'll be there at your desk and we can talk. Just you can end it up there. You don't have to respond and give your side of story. We And when you do that, I think eventually they will realize and they will stop doing that. Or if in your one-on-one conversations, you can say your manager that when it's a mistake, please don't loop in others, because it kind of embarrasses me. Without knowing my side of story, if you loop in, it will embarrass me. So you need to let the manager know professionally, using positive words, that it's not good to do that. But if at all they still do that, just say, I'll come and talk to you one-on-one. That's it. You don't have to give the whole story. And your teammates will probably understand, because if he's doing that to you, he will be doing that to others as well.
Gestures which can irritate a HR while interview.
So gestures, like I said, a lot of time just nagging the HR is one of the worst things that you would want to do. A lot of times, when you give an interview and it went well, and if they really want to hire you, they will reach out to you. It's very rarely happens that they take a few weeks or a month to get back. So initially, like if today you give you an interview and if in a week at max you don't hear, that means you might have not got the job. But if you might be even considered for the job and you are constantly emailing or messaging the recruiter and nagging them, that is really a big turn off. So even if the interviewers would have liked you, the recruiter can herself uh, step in and say that this person is a nagging kind of a person and I don't think he might be suitable for the job. So that can cut your chances of getting the job. So please don't nag the recruiters.
Okay. I think we are done with all the questions. Any further questions, guys? Because I think again, like yesterday, it was today also we went back till 8:30. We started at 7 and almost at 8:25. And what a fantastic session and what a fantastic 3 days of corporate grooming it have been. Thank you so much to all the participants who have attended this session at almost at 7 o'clock in the evening, where the officers and everything is there and still you had made it. And it was an amazing time with all the participants, with the Q&As, like day before, yesterday and today, with Kapil, me and Shruti. So all the three coming up and kind of giving it back, which I felt was really important, because today also so many people ask me, hey Shipal, how do I open my CPA firm in India? How do I bring the US clients here? Let me tell you that the first important, and I would say a lot of them have added points. For me, it is very important that never do a direct call to anyone. Emails are the best way to communicate to anyone. Never ever do a direct phone call to any of the persons whom you're reaching out. It's always better to talk on emails. Whenever you're trying to pitch in for a client from US or trying to bring the US work from here, never ask direct numbers or WhatsApp numbers as such. Email writing is a most important part, and I would say it's an indispensable part today. And that is the reason why I had to put this session and have to call Shruti, because she is really good in all the communication skills and the email drafting, and that is what is required now. Because seeing, considering that a lot of the US companies are coming in India, it's important that we understand what is the culture, how do they kind of talk, what irritates them. So calling them continuously or talking to them on LinkedIn is not. So you might take up one time and just ask them and communicate, then later ask their email ID and try to always communicate in an email. And that's why you have a written communication part being put into CPA in BEC subject, right? So it is, there is a reason for that, because in US it's always emails first. And that's where I tell my students also not to call me directly or do a WhatsApp. Always email your faculty with any of the queries. I remember one of the students said, like, sir, do you want to kind of run away from the questions and all? You never try to answer it on WhatsApp and you tell us to email. Because that is what the habit I want all the students to have. If they start up now only, they'll get it habituated to that kind of email things, right? If they are habituated to WhatsApp and calls, they might do the same in when they join in that organization also. So please get your habit of dropping an email always. It's always a good thing to get it evidenced. It is in writing. So that's where emails are always better, right? And second important thing which my Infosys head have always said me, that whenever you're drafting an email, always put it in a summarized way, right? And never try to write stories in the email. That's what Shruti have also communicated today. It should be precise, it should be summarized, right? Not writing stories, big emails. Never write it, because no one will read big large emails. They only the only they read is the first five bullet points, and that's it. So never try to write big emails and all, and writing it on a more than 7 or 8 lines. I would say you have lost the subject there itself, right? So that's what was communicated to me by my Infi VP that time, and that's where I have been always following up. So always a short email with summary, and then you can give it in details, but always your bullet points should be the first 4 or 5 pointers, and that should be sufficient enough in the emails. Your emails should be always summarized, and that's how it should be. And I think CEO, CFO Rahul is telling that they write big emails only when the quarterly results and all are out. They never write frequently. Do you agree, Shruti? I mean, I might be wrong, because I have been trained under Infosys. So my heads always used to tell, my finance heads always used to tell that always put it in Excel form, always put it in a sheet, always put it in a format rather than writing the numbers here and there. So always to put it in a good format and communicate the mail. So when Rahul is asking, I might be wrong, like CEO, CFO writing very big emails. I'm not sure, because typically they write it in a summary format of 5 6 lines. That's what I have seen. Rajiv Bansal, Infosys CFO, before that Mohandas Pai, and have worked with all these people and can see their emails when they drafted. So I'm not sure, Rahul, if they have declared the results, quarterly results, they might write in a big paragraph thanking each and every one. But I think that's where it is. So nowadays it's always short and crisp. And Shruti, if you want to add it on the CEO and CFO's emails and sort of.
Yeah, so
Thank you so
they
much.
actually they are communicating to thousands of employees, right? And they do not communicate on a day-to-day basis. So when they are communicating, they have a lot of information to share. So that at that point of time, it is okay. Or if you are like, if you genuinely have a lot of information to share, then that is fine, right? But on your day-to-day basis, you cannot have like pages and pages of email that you would want to share. So I think that's where they will write big emails. And now these days, like, I don't see that big emails from even our CFO or CEOs, because they attach an attachment there which will again have like all the information we need. So, but yeah, if they do it, if really they have that much information to share, then that is fine.
So one of them is writing FB Zuckerberg comes in short. So I think Kapil also answered yesterday. He's the Facebook. So till you don't go to that level, I think that's what he is, right? So he is the Facebook owner. So he can do whatever he want. He can come in whatever dressing he wants. So that's what Kapil said yesterday, right? So that's how it is. So it doesn't mean that everyone will follow the same, because every organization have their own dressing and code of conduct, right? So we
Correct.
need to stick to that, and that's what we'll see.
Yeah.
And one last question, Shruti sir, can we write cover letter in body instead of sending an attachment? I saw a lot of suggestions on LinkedIn. Kindly clarify.
So cover letter usually, like from what I have seen, needs to be a different letter. It should not be in your email as the body of it. So you can attach it as an attachment. So that's what you should know. I have not seen it being used in the body of the email.
Okay. I think that's it. So 8:30 it is. So it's been 1.5 hours. And thank you so much, guys. So Shruti, we don't have any further questions.
Okay.
And any other questions, if you want to talk offline, you can always follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and
Mhm.
Instagram. So we are there on all the social medias, and our email ID is info@simandareducation.com. Any questions, please drop in your email IDs and all, and do also give us the feedback about all the 3 free corporate grooming session which we had, and really felt very happy with the participation and all. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks a lot, and stay connected always. Thank you so much, Shruti. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone. Yep. Thank you.
Zaki, you can end the meeting. Thank you.
Yes, sir.